All right, guys, we got a fun episode today. Again, part two with Miley and Patrick. What's up, you guys?
What's going on?
We got some good questions. Here's the first one. Should your partner prioritize you over their friends and family? Who wants to take this one? Go ahead, Patrick.
I think they should prioritize their significant other over their friends for the most part, but not over family. You don't want to be number one in that person's life. You don't want to replace mom and dad and things like that. That's going to cause tension between the parents and things like that. So I think it's easier just where friends are going to be second to your significant other, but family is always going to be there. You know what I mean? You can always find a new girlfriend, new XYZ, but your parents are going to be there and your family's always there. You can't pick and choose your family.
Okay, go ahead, Miley.
I think you should prioritize your significant other over everyone, family and friends. But I think a good significant other won't make you choose.
Okay. So you guys are opposing right now.
I guess with the family part, yeah, for sure. Because
He's like, I only got one mama. I could replace
exactly,
you.
yeah, right. And you can have another girlfriend, the next day kind of thing. But it's just your family is, I think it depends on someone's upbringing and things like that, where your family will always be there through thick and through thin, but you really see a person's character after time. And if you're dating someone for a brief period of time, you may not really understand who that person is, but you know who your family is. So I wouldn't want to just put my family in the back burner for someone who I'm dating because she said so.
So, okay, for dating stage, I would agree with that. But if you're like married to someone, I think that your wife or husband, they're supposed to be your ride or die till the rest of your life, right? So, if, for example, a lot of people have clashes with their mothers-in-law or their in-laws in general. I don't know. I would expect my spouse to like kind of back me up and smooth things over with the family if his family had a problem with me. But I don't know.
Okay. I feel like I agree with Patrick because like I'm not about to replace my mom and my dad and the people who I know will be there when I'm in the hospital bed, right? But the wife obviously, she's going to come number one and you can't prioritize, people over your wife. That's just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like I think it would be wrong for you to put anyone ahead of that person to like outwardly to their face. It's kind of hot in here, right? Let me go turn the fan on real quick. Let me see what you were trying to say.
Oh, you're good. We want to make sure that it's if it's running. I think we're good though.
Okay. Miley, will you ask this next question? I think we're on number 2.
Do you prefer grand gestures or the small things? I feel like you ask this every time.
No, that's a new one. Damn, okay. Have you ever done a grand gesture for someone, Patrick?
Grand gesture, yeah, all the time. So I'm more, what do they call it? There's like a new term for it. What is it, love language or something like that? So people have like touch, they have different things. I think one of them is going to be showing someone that they're valued and they're cared for, not just with words and not just with gifts, but more of actions. And I think that'd be like a grand gesture where you fly someone's parents, they're out of town, into town to hang out with their daughter on their daughter's birthday as a surprise, or things like that where it's just the little things that go a long way, and it's just thinking about what would make this person happy, not just a material gift that anyone can get them, but more of putting effort and thought behind it so they can really show, okay, this person took the time, they actually value you, and that's why they did XYZ. So I think grand gestures go a long way for sure.
Miley, what if some guy was doing grand gestures for you all the time? Would that be getting old, or would you just be like, yo, this is my new lifestyle?
I think I would suspect he was love bombing me. I'd be very, I don't know. I would feel like he was trying to put on a show to win me in the beginning, but if it was sustainable, fine. But if someone's doing all that up front to try to get my attention and to win me over, I don't think grand gestures are sustainable all the time.
But do you like them?
Yeah, I like them.
What's like the top 2 like grand gestures that you've gotten where it's like, okay, this is something special?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Gotcha. What would be a good one that if someone did for you, you'd be like, okay, this is
a grand gesture.
this is something.
You don't
more.
even know what a grand gesture is, Miley. You don't know what romance is.
Maybe
Some
I don't.
some guys are like jumping out of fucking skies just to propose and stuff.
Yeah, I've never had a gesture like that.
Well, it's your wildest grand gesture. I mean, it's kind of like an unfair question until you meet the one, right?
Right.
So, but like what would your grand gesture be?
Probably that, like if their family's out of town, like surprise them with their family in town. But I know some guys have done some crazy things.
Like what? Tell.
So I know someone who had a helicopter, and someone I knew, their job was to go find a perfect landing point with a nice view. So he takes his girlfriend there and they have a nice picnic. So
What?
like go find someone somewhere, and whether it's going to be in Palos Verdes or Catalina or wherever, somewhere where there's something nice, land it there, have a whole picnic set up just to make his girlfriend. It's just an experience that other people aren't going to get.
Does a helicopter pick you back up after the picnic?
Yeah, the dude had his own like helicopter and everything.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's kind of a grand gesture in my opinion, which is kind of out there. Like, yeah. So
Okay, so I had a guy give me diamond earrings after 2 months of dating, and then we got into a fight, and he asked for them back.
It's like the opposite of a grand gesture.
what'd you do? Did you give him back or no?
Yeah, I gave it back. It wasn't worth it to deal with that guy or argue about it.
Did he call you or text you and say, "Hey, I want my earrings back," or how did you get them back?
He texted me he wanted them back, and then he came and he picked them up.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
There's some crazy people out there.
And then he tried to continue dating me after that.
So you can earn them back again.
Yeah.
Wait, what would you do for your future love of your life? Grand gesture.
Grand gesture? Like, what's the occasion? Like a birthday or like
Let's say we'll do
anniversary?
different levels. We'll do like birthdays, anniversaries, and then proposal.
birthdays? Probably travel somewhere where they want to go. You know what I mean? If it's like a trip to Florence or to Rome or something like that, that'd be kind of cool. Birthday gift?
Would you plan it, or you would tell her you'll take her somewhere and she can pick?
No, I would plan it. So I would plan it, but I'm not the kind of person that's going to run off an itinerary. I'm not, but I know some people are like that, but I'm not the kind of person where it's like, okay, we're going to land in Rome Tuesday and then we're going to go see the Colosseum. And then the next day, no, we're going to go and we're going to have fun. Whatever she wants to do, whatever we want to do, cool. I'll plan like the location and a nice place to stay, but everything else is
What if she
fluid.
planned the itinerary?
It's not going to work. I can't have someone boss me around and be like, okay, well, we have to wrap it up in 20 minutes because we have lunch at this place. No, like, we're going here to have fun, and we're going to do what we're going to do.
Would you
And
prefer she just follows your lead?
not follows my lead, but have a healthy 50-50 kind of, like, what do you want to do? Okay, let's go do that. But not, like, cut me off where it's like, hey, we got to wrap it up at the beach because we got to go eat. Like, it's just, let's just make it fluid and let's have fun. Not someone who's going to be kind of bossing around and doing that. I know a lot of people who date people like that, and I just look at it and I'm like, more power to you, but I don't have the patience
It's
for
not
that.
bossing though. It's just that some people want to be on the go, like to fill every gap, and then some people want the whole day just to unfold the way that it will just naturally if they were just chilling.
Yeah, and that's what I want. Someone who's going to hang out with me and let it unfold the way it's going to unfold instead of cutting off what could be a good experience because we had a tour somewhere.
What if she said, well, there's this one thing I really want to do. Can we at least just do this one thing and have that planned? And
For sure. Yeah, like if it's some kind of one of a kind or something cool that she wants to do.
But
in that
he's like,
location,
but
for sure.
only one though, Max.
As long as it cut me off from having fun. No, but yeah, it's whatever we can do to have fun. And like same thing, I'm sure I would want to go do something or see something fun. And I wouldn't want her to be like, no, because I'm going to be sitting at the beach all day. Like it's mutual. It has to be mutual. The most important thing in a relationship is that respect. You know what I mean? Are they going to hear me out? Am I going to hear her out? And then make it work. It becomes a problem and it becomes toxic where it's my show and you can be with it or not be with it. Then it's not going to get anywhere. It's just communication and respect.
Okay. That's fair enough. All right. Can being friends first with someone kill attraction before the relationship even starts?
I think so, 100%. But for a guy's perspective, I'm not sure how it is for a girl's perspective. If someone was your friend, could they eventually move out of that friend zone?
Yeah, it's hard to get out of the friend zone. Once they're in the friend zone, it does. You just don't think of them that way.
That's why you can never let up and act like you're in the friend zone. You
Yeah.
gotta just like always let them know the intention of like sex is there.
Right, or some kind of physical attraction, exactly. Because you're in the friend zone, that's it. It's kind of game over. It's gonna die out eventually. Or
They'll be like, "What? I thought I looked at you like a brother." You're like, "A brother wouldn't want to fuck you."
Exactly. Yeah, you start looking at them kind of like family, and you don't have any sexual desire. It's repulsive almost.
Yeah.
yeah, I think so too. Even from a guy's perspective, I have a girl friend who's a friend. Like you're gonna be there through their emotional stages, whether it's like grief or loss of a family or loved one or loss of an ex, and it kind of deters and gets off track from like any kind of physical thing. It's more of like we have an emotional connection now as one human to another, not necessarily just physical.
Have you ever had that friendship with a girl that was kind of almost like she was very attractive, but she was like your sister, and like you couldn't even think to do that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's just where it's like, okay, cool. Like you live your life and you do whatever.
But like part of you as a guy wouldn't be like, I would probably tap that though.
No, because it's not there. I know too much and I've seen too much. It's too like emotionally invested to want to screw it up and do something different.
I think I try really hard to be a good guy, but at the end of the day, like my nature gets the best of me.
I gotcha. And some people are like that, and that's cool. You know, more power to you kind of thing. But yeah, I'd be in my head too much, I think, where it's like we're not in that phase.
Like the only thing that would deter me is if the girl was such a fucking headache, you know, that like I would be thinking with my libido, you know, so I'd be like trying to put up with it and like listen and this and that, and then be like, no, we're just friends, and then like I would still want to smash the whole time, like undercover, you know. But the only thing that would deter me is like, yo, I know too much about this girl. She's gonna drive whoever she's with in total sane, and the emotional part of the, you know, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, and that happens when you have two people and let's say go to a party and they have a drunk night and then they end up hooking up or something and it's super awkward the next time, and that friendship could potentially end. You know what I mean? So it's like not only did you lose a potential good friend, but then you also kind of just, I don't know if it's worth it kind of thing, but it all depends.
That goes with traveling too. Like there's certain things that you do when you cross the line with friends, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're entering a different territory, not to say it's good or bad, but it's just that the risk of the friendship being over after that, right?
That's true.
There's like, yeah. Travel with someone to know what they're like, but is it really to know what they're like? Is that true?
I think so. I think when you are alone in a country, in a foreign country with someone else, you're going to get to know them real fast, real soon. Like, do they trust you? Like, if you're going to go somewhere sketchy, do they trust to be with you? How are they, like, living with them briefly, even if it's like 3 or 4 days? You know, are they messy? Do they get along with you? How's the sleeping habits? Like, are you guys going to, like, kick each other in bed? It just, there's so many things that can happen.
That's a preview of living together?
I think so, for sure, real fast. Because there's nowhere, I don't have friends I could run to. Neither does she. We're in like the UK somewhere. Like we're stuck together.
Miley, what are some good tendencies and some bad tendencies of people to travel with that give you that crystal ball?
I don't know. I don't have a good history of traveling with friends.
Like what was it that deterred you from wanting to ever travel again? Or be like, can I live with this person? Hell no. It's like hygiene.
I just think I travel very different from what people are used to. Like I have my preferences. There's certain things I'll spend money on. There's certain things that I want to do or that I'm open to.
So what about what Patrick mentioned, just in regards to, are you the go itinerary, plan it all out, or just let the day unfold, and if we don't do anything, that's fine?
It just depends on where I'm going. So if a place is known for like architecture, whatever, I'm gonna want to see all the architecture. If it's known for partying, I'm gonna want to party. If it's known for beautiful beaches, I'll hang out at the beach.
What if we switch the question? Like, would you want a guy who's like, hey, wrap it up, we got to go somewhere at this time, we have reservations? like itinerary based, or more just like let's have a good time and where we end up?
So it depends on who's planning the trip. If I'm planning the trip, then I'm gonna want to do what I want to do. If he's planning the trip, I'll let him plan everything and I'll just follow whatever he's got planned.
Gotcha.
But if I'm putting in effort to make these plans and then they're just criticizing everything I have planned, like that'll piss me off.
Yeah, because you don't feel valued. Like I'm doing all this stuff for us, and
Right.
yeah, you're shooting it down.
Okay, do you think it's a good idea to travel early on with somebody that you're dating just to kind of like get that, preview quicker?
Yeah, I think
Maybe like mini travel, like to be like kind of within reason.
Yeah, like a little staycation or something, go to Big Bear or something. Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. I also think moving in and living with someone before marriage and before like it gets serious.
So everyone, not everyone, not all religion, but like religious beliefs believe that you shouldn't, right? Do you think that's kind of contrary to what's the best for the two people to work long term?
So like religion aside, you can, if we want to go in the religious route, you can still live together. I think the religious aspect is like sex before marriage. But if you wanted to live together, you don't necessarily have to have, be intimate in that way. You can really see, is this person just like dirty clothes everywhere and stuff like that. But if we're just putting the religion aside and just going more of like getting to know someone, I think regardless, it's always a good idea to move in and to experience and get a preview of what it's going to be like 10 years down the road.
Let's skip right back to the sex before marriage, right? Do you guys think that having sex before marriage is a telltale sign that this is what I'm getting involved with and that's a good thing? Or do you think sex before marriage is something that's like you should have waited because like it always feels good to wait for something that you earned? Like what do you guys think about like the dynamic of the effectiveness of that?
I think if you were to have, which I don't know if that exists, at least not here, a virgin male and a virgin female, and they have that emotional connection, and then they get married and they have sex, that I think is probably the healthiest it's ever going to be because they don't know anything different, and it's just one-on-one connection built after the emotional connection.
Right, you're like a clean slate.
Yeah.
That pretty much that's all you have to work off of.
But I don't know anyone that's done that. Like it just, I think we're in a world where that's not very common.
So it's really not about sex before marriage, like I'm gonna get to know you on any kind of whatever. It's the fact that you're keeping your innocence, so the next person that gets you is like, oh, I'm getting kind of a fresh slate.
Right.
But so the sex before marriage, it doesn't really matter if you're not a virgin.
I think you just have to follow the momentum. So I think that it doesn't really help you if you guys have a lot of sexual chemistry and one person's trying to limit the other person. You know what I mean? It ruins the momentum. But at the same time, if one person's trying to press it and the other person's not ready, that's not good either. So you just have to follow the momentum of where the relationship is and what both people are comfortable with.
I'm curious from a woman's perspective, what would it be like if you had a guy that you were dating, you liked him, he liked you, and he was like, hey, I want to wait, 6 months, and 6 months we'll recap. Like, have you ever had that situation where it's just like, let's hit the brakes and not do that? And what would your opinion be of that person?
No, I haven't had that situation, but it would depend on the history of the guy. Because if the guy was more inexperienced and he was telling me he wanted to wait, okay, maybe it's like a big deal for him, whatever, and that'd be cool. But if the guy is telling me he wants to wait and he's like a man whore, I don't know if he's like trying to play a game or what. Yeah.
That makes sense. So based off their background?
Yeah.
Okay, we got another question. Okay, what's a big mistake people who end up divorced make before getting married?
What's the question again? A big mistake they do before they get married?
Yeah, like the ones that end up getting divorced. What's a big mistake that they made before getting married?
I think not being ready for it, not being ready to settle down, and then lack of communication. They just jump into it too soon, and they realize there's so many other people out there they could have met, and they settled for this person, and they weren't ready because they settled down when they're 21 or something, and it's like that's all they know. So I think it's kind of a regret where it's like I should have lived my life more before I settled down, or they did that, they settled down after they lived their life, and they're just not communicating, and they're expecting someone to be a mind reader to know what's wrong, when they're never going to know that until someone communicates like, hey, I have this issue and let's talk about it. Just like I would want someone who had an issue with me to talk about it instead of just closing off and expect me to read through someone's mind and fix a problem that I have no idea exists.
So settling before you're ready to settle.
I think that's a big one for sure.
Yeah, I think not really knowing what you need from a relationship to be fulfilled. So a lot of times people jump into relationships and they're thinking, okay, what can I do to make this person happy? But they forget about, okay, what do I need to be happy? And then when they're in this relationship, they're like, I'm putting all this effort in. What am I getting out of this? And then that's when stuff starts falling apart.
So like knowing exactly what your requirements are to be comfortable and happy and making sure that those are met, not sacrificing, you know, putting someone else before your needs.
Yeah, and it also changes. You have to realize people change and the dynamics of the relationship are going to change throughout the marriage. So you have to be ready to adapt to that too.
I think another big one is don't be fake. Like, don't start off the relationship fake, and then 6 months in, either he or she's like, who the hell is this person? That's not the person I was dating. Like, at least be upfront, be who you are. She likes it or she doesn't like it. But at the end of the day, you're true to yourself.
Like I've been hearing this concept with some guys that back in the day, like being a player meant that you had maybe 4 or 5 girls and you didn't tell them about each other, right?
Right.
But nowadays, some guys are saying like you could still have your 4 or 5 girls, but you should tell them that I have 4 or 5 girlfriends. If you're not okay with that, you should leave me. If you are okay with that, we can keep talking.
It's definitely cleaner that way, for sure. And then there's no, oh yeah, you didn't tell me about her, I didn't know about her. It's like, hey, I was up front the entire time. You were cool. You're down to ride with it. And then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, instead of finding out. And that's going to hurt her heart too, where it's like there's 3 other chicks you were talking to before me, during me, and all these other things too. It's just that there's no escape from that. But if you're up front, I told you what it is and you were cool with it.
Miley, let's say there was the guy that told you that, but he wasn't an average guy. He was a guy like Theo Vaughn. I'm not saying that Theo Vaughn would do something like that, but he was a guy of stature, and you didn't look at him like you look at an ordinary person. You looked at him with high esteem.
Yeah, I'm kind of selfish. I would rather have a mediocre guy all to myself than to share some high status guy with like 3 other girls.
I think it goes the same way for a man too. Like if you're dating someone, let's say, kind of what we were talking about earlier, like last time, let's say it's a 60-year-old male and he has a 25 or a 30-year-old girlfriend, and she's straight up and she's like, hey, just so you know, I have 2 other boyfriends or XYZ. Are you okay with that? And he's cool with it, fine. Versus her hiding and cheating behind his back and all that stuff. It's no one's going to want to share, but at least if you let them know ahead of time, this is what's going on, maybe because there's communication, it could work, but I don't know.
All right, so communication is a big deal. People are doing all kinds of different things, but as long as you communicate about this is what I'm gonna do, this is my intention, it's better than like going into a marriage 5 years down the line, switching it up on her. She's like, whoa, like I didn't know this is how you really thought all along, you know? And
for sure. And
then like, but if you would have just said, hey, you know, I want to have 4 wives, you know? And she has a chance at that point to be like, fuck you, bro. Are you kidding? You know, but like the truth, you know, hurts, but it's gonna probably avoid a 5-year, you know, 5-year in divorce.
And you know, guys, you'll be surprised because I have a friend, he told this girl he would marry her, but he's never gonna be faithful to her. And he said, but every time I cheat on you, I'll buy you a piece of jewelry. And she was cool with that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But he was up front with her, I guess.
Yeah.
The other thing too about communication is like, about not being fake is, to me it's not a big deal, but some people it is like politics. Like if hypothetically, if I were just to go with the flow with an opinion I don't necessarily agree with, just because I like someone, and then we get married, I'm like, actually I hate all of that stuff, and then that's gonna be an issue, I would assume.
Yeah, true. That's tough because like, what if you don't really care, right? Yeah. To even discuss the politics in the first place. But later when you get more mature, you start having a mind of your own. And then
Right.
you're like, well, no, I don't really agree with that or this. And that could be because in the beginning you were kind of on their boat because you didn't have a team.
Mm-hmm.
But now you know, decide for some reason that I do care about this, you know, and then there's an argument
For sure.
between beliefs.
And then throw a kid in the mix, then it's just going to get even messier. Where it's like, let's say a very hot topic, abortion. So he's for it, she's not, or vice versa. And then you're raising a kid. What opinion are we going to, you know, what's the backbone of the foundation of the family? So it's going to, I would assume, cause tension unless they could work through that.
Yeah. So politics, I guess, not communicating what your intention is before you guys get married, and then 5 years down the line changing your viewpoints. Those are all reasons why mistakes that people make before getting married. You could have avoided that, right? You could avoid that by how do you avoid the politics one? Like for example, for me, right?
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. I don't care at all, right? Like war, there's 40 wars going on around the world, right? Most people don't care. Most people aren't informed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like I just decide to take a back seat to all of it and focus on whatever else. And then but like what if I do become a man of wealth one day, right? And now I have to start doing philanthropy, and now politics is part of my job.
Right.
So now I'm like, I'd like a girl that she's like, your opinion is my opinion. You know, like she could back and forth with me, but like, I don't know, like I don't know how that would work out if she had really strong views.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on their upbringing and their culture. You know what I mean? So, like, we can go to an extreme example would be finding a wife online in a third world country versus finding a wife here in the U.S. Like, their views and the susceptibility to agreeing with someone is going to be, it could be substantially different. Versus, let's say another example would be a country where independence isn't as big for women's rights versus the U.S., where it is like you can do anything you want to do, but in other countries it's more subservient. So it's an unfortunate reality, but it just kind of depends on the location and everything else. But yeah, I think it depends on someone's upbringing.
Let's go to the politics conversation. You have something to say about that?
Yeah, so I think there's two levels to it. So one is you pick and choose your battles, right? Is something worth arguing over or fighting over and causing a fight over? The second part is, you know, you guys just have to accept you're not going to agree, and someone else can have an opinion that's not the same as yours. And it can be a valid opinion too. And you'll just have to accept that people have differing opinions.
Opinions are okay because it's like we could talk about anything, you know what I mean? But like if that opinion is going to leak into like the actions and the decisions in your life, then that's different. But like I could have a bunch of opinions on both parties, and like at the end of the day, like I wouldn't even care when I wake up the next morning. Mm-hmm. It was just a conversation for me, you know? But like when it gets a little bit more serious, right?
Kind of piggyback off that, what happens, let's say for, I don't know your political standpoint, but let's say that you are dating a guy and he's big on guns and he exercises the Second Amendment, he likes to shoot, no big deal, but you're anti-gun and you guys move in together, then it might be like, so what do I do? Just sell my stuff? You know what I mean? Like it could become an issue if if this is the hill they want to die on, how far are they willing to go to sacrifice that significant other to stand on their point of no guns in the house or something to that effect?
I don't want to get political, but I do think...
We are already got political. So you know how the avoid politics and religion? We're trying to poke on them right now just so we don't have to talk about them.
You have to understand, you can't control what someone else does. So they're going to do what they're going to do. And if you're okay with it, cool. If you're not, then you're going to have to make the decision to exit that.
I think the girl should be okay with whatever the guy is leading the direction of their relationship, as long as he's not being abusive to her. And the girl, she should be able to spit any opinion she wants. You know what I mean? It's just a fucking, we're just talking type shit. But when it comes to the major decisions that politics could influence, these major decisions, it's like, yo, don't fucking speak out of turn. Don't fucking represent us as a relationship any way that I would be opposed to. Just keep your fucking mouth shut. And that's how I would probably approach my relationship. Because like behind doors we could talk and joke or whatever, but like I don't want you to do something to embarrass me, you know. And if it means nothing, you know, like we'll just talk and have conversations about it. But like if it's like if it's directly gonna affect some kind of, like for my work, if you're gonna fuck up some shit for my work or whatever, like it's gonna have detrimental effects to me too. So like kind of care about my feelings and like know that this is why I'm saying, like, don't, you know, have any crazy all right, religion though. All right, so like religion is kind of in the same boat, right? They're like sisters,
right?
Politics and religion. How is having like a difference of opinion on religion, like even if you guys went back and forth, like how does that really affect your life?
It would affect my life in the fact that like it's cool. I respect other people's religion, but if we're gonna like set roots and have a family, then I don't want it to be two conflicting religions, because then it's just gonna be like in limbo. So I think when you're dating someone, whatever their religion is, cool. But when you're going more in a serious route, I would want someone on the same page, or try to, you know, essentially convert that person to my religion.
Everybody always talks about the kids, right? Fuck the kids. I don't care what the kids' impact on them is. Okay, let's say you're dating a girl, you believe in God, she doesn't. You believe in God for whatever reason you do, right?
Yeah.
And she doesn't. She denounces the idea of it. She's atheist, right? You're kind of just telling me I'm wrong on the way I think, right? Well, it'd be fine if you're my boss or if you're just an acquaintance.
Yeah.
Because that's okay, you know? That's how life is. You don't agree with everyone, right? But if she's my wife and like I have a certain way of thinking and she is opposed to that, there's a school of thought that's like, you shouldn't care what anyone, you know, believes in or doesn't believe in. Let them be who they are and you guys can still have all the other common grounds.
Right.
But then there's that thought that like, yo, if you don't believe in this certain thing that I believe in, then we can't be friends or we can't ever be on the same page. So the religion one, that's almost what that's like. If you're not like a girl that's Christian, she's like, if you're not Christian, I can't marry you. I'm only looking for a Christian man.
Right.
So she's like dead set on her, you know what I mean? So when it comes to religion, I guess it's how deep you are into it, you know? Like how much you claim you're set.
I mean, I think everyone's allowed to have preferences. So if that's your preferences, you want someone to be a certain religion, that's totally up to you to decide that. The problem with religion and other people outside is that you can't control people. You can't expect everyone to think the way that you think. So if you have coworkers or friends that are different religions, you have to accept that.
I think with the dating thing, I would try to let someone, there's two different fine grounds here. The first one is respect. If I go to church or something and they're making fun of me, my girlfriend is because she's atheist or something, that's never going to work. And same thing. If I'm making fun of her religion or something,
not making fun, but she'll never come to church.
Yeah. So that's respect aside. So let's say that issue is good. I would try to educate that person on my religion in hopes that they would come on board. But if it's not gonna, if we can't see eye to eye, that would be difficult. As long as there's respect there, that's probably the most important part. But I try to convince someone, or at least let them see why I believe this. Let them make their own decision, but at least kind of let them understand why I am the way I am and the religion that I believe in.
You know, I feel like it starts out when you meet somebody sometimes, you know, in this new modern age that we live in. Like there's going to be people of different cultures, ethnicities, religions, and like two people that are diverse and different can come together at first. And then like you guys kind of like fall in love before analyzing all the compatibility stuff like politics and religion. And then so because of the love, you kind of like say, no, we can make it work, right? And then it gets to the point where there's the difference of opinions and thoughts, and then like depending on how invested you are in that stance that you took, you could be like, I don't fucking care, you could say whatever about my religion or religion in general, I'm just gonna agree with you because it means nothing to me. But if you talk about fucking house remodeling, I fucking own all this shit, you know, like don't fucking argue with me. So people have their, you know, like I'm gonna fucking stand firm on this and not that. So but so like I guess people can be happily married in religion and politics even though they're totally different. It could end things, or it could, you could not care and take a super strong stance and it could just be like harmony.
Right. It just depends on that relationship.
Are your parents the same religion?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Mine are not.
They're not.
So how was that growing up?
So my mom's Catholic, my dad's Buddhist, and my dad would go to church with all of us. Well, for them to get married, he had to agree to raise the children Catholic. But the girls were baptized, the boys were not. And my dad would go to church and he would sit in the back and talk trash the whole time in church.
Did that change your religion, or did you kind of stick it out, or did you come up with a different one, or how did that work out?
We all went to church until we were like in high school. Then they just let us decide what we wanted to do. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, well, there, it goes deeper than just religions nowadays. Like I feel like there's, you believe in God or you don't believe in a monotheistic, whatever that word is, monotheistic God, or you don't. Like, and some people are like, oh, I'm not saying I do or I don't, right? All right, forget it. We'll skip this one. This is like a tough topic. Is love a slow build or an instant feeling?
I think it could be both.
Same. You either know and you know on that spot, or it starts to build into something that could be love. But it really depends on what's happening. But it could be both. I don't think it's one or the other.
But the instant one is pretty fun though.
But that could be love. That's not. Some people would argue that's just infatuation.
No, I do believe there could be love at first sight. Yeah.
What would you prefer if you had two girls, two different circumstances and scenarios, and one or the other?
Probably to build into love rather than go head first.
Why?
Because then I think you just experience more that way, and it's just like you earn it. Kind of, it's building blocks, and eventually it gets to this point. I think it's stronger that way, where you've worked for it, they've worked for it, and now it's here and it's firm. Versus you go head first in the deep end, and now you're in love, and that to me just seems like an emotional roller coaster. If you fall in love that fast, you can fall out of love that fast, or that other person can fall out of love that fast, and then now your heart's broken. So I'd rather be like, this is a foundation that's been built on, it's strong, it's there, instead of being like, let's just go head over heels and see what happens. I think that's just driving a car 100 miles an hour on the freeway with its lights off and hoping it's going to work out.
But isn't that kind of like being in the friend zone for a while?
With the building, not if you're intimate and things like that. If you're communicating your intent and it's working out, like you're not gonna, or at least me
Let's
personally.
say she tells you we're not having sex until like 10 dates in.
Okay.
That's a pretty slow build, right?
It's a slow build, but you know it's there, instead of being like, we're never having it because you're like a brother. But go ahead.
And there's other ways to be intimate than just sex.
I mean, like kissing,
Yeah.
oral, and sex kind of all fall in the same boat, you know?
But a challenge is cool. Like 10 dates in, cool. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's nothing that I would respect that way more than someone who's just, here it is kind of thing. I think vice versa, where you want to, if you're going to do the intimate part with someone else, make it worth it instead of anyone can have it. I think that is more respectable, and I'd rather that kind of challenge to see, okay, cool, let's see what happens in 10 days.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
If a girl's telling you we're going to wait to get to that point, are you still dating other girls and keeping your options open until you're allowed to have sex?
No, I have too much other shit to do.
I think it depends on that conversation. Are we exclusive and waiting, or are we just friends and waiting to see what happens?
No,
So,
my answer would be bitch, you're the first one that came along, and you seem like a good fit. I fucking working nonstop, so like that's what, I don't know. Go ahead, Patrick. That's my take though.
Yeah, I just think it's communication. Like, are we being exclusive, or are we just let's see how this vibes out, and 10 dates in, or six, whatever she wants to do, 6 months, 2 weeks, whatever. Let's see what happens, or are we just I'm only talking to you, you're only talking to me, and
Look,
we're gonna see if we get to that point.
I'm gonna say this. Okay, what if the girl, you weren't sure if she was dating other people, and you know, if you were the only one she was dating, how would that make you feel?
Then I wouldn't be down with it. So that's if we're having that talk, we're waiting, let's say 2 weeks. I'm not expecting a day after to be some other guy's 2 weeks up, and then now she's with that dude. So it's just, are we waiting? You and I are waiting together, or is it just going to be, let's see what happens in 2 weeks. I'll keep talking to you, you keep talking to me, and then we're doing our own thing. But if it's on the other side, if I'm waiting 2 weeks or whatever the case may be, and she's out with some other guys, then I'm glad I waited instead of just finding out the hard way kind of thing.
Okay, I'm gonna answer the question that we started with, the instant versus the slow build. I'm gonna say instant.
How come?
Because I feel like you kind of know when you meet somebody, right? Like based on just some of the mannerisms when you first meet them. Like it, and I feel like there's too much friend zoning with the slow build. Like you knew right away when you met me that if there would be a chance with me or not. And the slow build is kind of just like, I'm not sure. I don't know. I think the instant attraction is a better indication of chemistry. But then again, I'm not saying you should go head first and dive in and say I'm going to commit. I just think that if me and her slept together sooner, we decided we were going to be girlfriend boyfriend sooner, we decided we were going to get married sooner, and we're going to have children sooner. Like for me, when I say sooner, I mean like maybe, I don't know, a year and we're engaged, you know?
Yeah.
That would be more ideal for me than do like a 3-4 year engagement.
What if it's love at first sight, but wait 2 months to actually get intimate? You cool with that or no?
I am cool with that. I am, because I'm going to tell so many subtle cues in those 2 months that like really doesn't have anything to do with sex. More has to do with their mannerisms.
Yeah.
But I can know in the first 5 minutes if I would even fuck with her in the first place. And then it takes me a long time to be like, to get to the marriage point. Maybe it takes me like a week or two, you know? First 5 minutes, I know if I ever want to fucking see you or talk to you again. First 2 weeks is like, okay, I get your baseline mannerisms. And then it was like maybe another 6 weeks to be like, okay, I had been considering that you could be a future, you know, wife of mine. But after 6 weeks, I'm like, all right, I either know that you're definitely not, or I know that you for sure are. So
6
like,
weeks?
yeah, I feel like I could come to that conclusion a lot quicker, as long as I'm getting the type of response rates that I'm putting out. Like as much as I'm trying to reach out and see you, you're trying to see me, you know, I'm not trying to see you every day. But if I was at certain points going to spurts of trying to see you more often, you reciprocate that. So like that kind of interaction, 6 weeks, I could determine if I'd be compatible with this person.
I think so. I think you know sooner than later, for sure. As long as you filter out all the BS kind of thing.
Yeah,
like you
it's
have
asking
to know
every question and also laying out your whole, you know, package on the line. Not literally, but you know what I mean? Like everything, like all your skeletons, you got to like lay out all that. And then you got to ask her every question, because she's not going to come out and tell you everything in those 6 weeks.
Yeah.
She's going to keep the mystery. She wants you to be more into her. So she's going to hide some of the things. But if you could probe and ask questions really well, she can't lie to you if you ask her the question. She could hide it. She could omit the facts, but you can't. You know, so like be good at asking, and then also be good at being truthful. Like, yo, you know, if you want to have 4 girlfriends, you can't hide that fact from her.
Right. I think a lot of, just from a guy's perspective, guys just need to be guys, like just man up. A lot of guys, or at least me personally speaking from my friends and from what I've seen, they don't have that, like just a go-getter kind of attitude. It's more of like, well, she doesn't like that. And it's just like, I didn't grow up in an era where it was like that. It's just like, I'm going to voice my opinion, and you like it, you do or you don't. But same thing in a relationship. Like, this is me. This is what you get. It's raw. And I'm not going to like tippy toe around the first 2 weeks to see if she likes me, and then I'm like, oh, this is who I really am.
But I'm saying, like, let's say you were starting to date, right? You're fresh in the market, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know her situation is just yet. But you meet her, and would you want the ideal scenario, and I'll ask you, Miley, too, but would you want within 6 weeks to determine if this is a person that I'm going to spend, you know, time and commitment and go through the marriage route with? Would you like that to happen in 6 weeks, or would you, would you be okay with the slow build? You know, it takes like 2, 3, 4 years to get to know that person.
No,
Before
if I could pick 6 weeks, the expedited route, 100%. It's gonna save me time. It's gonna save me everything. If this is like the blueprint for it to work out in a short period of time, I'll take that all day.
And here's the thing. I feel like when I meet somebody, right? Like, you're not gonna have that many people that you feel that same kind of chemistry with, right? So if you feel like it's too fast and all your friends and family are saying like, yo, that's too fast, you barely met this person, right? And then you keep your options open, like, yeah, maybe you could meet somebody else or whatever in that time. But like, I think at that point, I think within the first, like, how long would it take for you to cut all your other options off? You meet this person, great. It's fucking amazing. You guys have great chemistry. They reciprocate wanting to see you as much as you want to see them. How soon before you say, you know what, let me cut all my other options off?
Probably sooner than later, for sure.
But like, how many days, how many weeks?
It's kind of just varies, but I would say
day one for me.
if you know, yeah, that makes sense. Where it's like, if this is the one and I don't want to do anything to screw it up, then I'll stop talking to my other people that I've been talking to for more than a day, because I know that's not as powerful as this person is. So I just get rid of those and then see what happens with this one who that instant attractive, instant kind of feeling towards something bigger would be. Why ruin it by saying, oh, let's see what happens and still talk to other people? I just fully commit and see what happens.
Okay, Miley, same question for you. How long would it take you before you give somebody exclusivity?
I mean, once we have the talk, then same day.
No, but like from the time that you met them, how long would it
I'm
take
not
to
going
have
to make
that
myself
talk?
exclusive unless I know the other person's going to be exclusive too.
See, that's what's wrong with the world. Fucking two eyes, two blind eyes, whatever the saying is. Yeah, no, but see, that's the thing. I think a lot of girls think that the way you think, and I don't think it's right. I think that, like, people shouldn't keep a whole bunch of options open. You should jump into things sooner. You should,
But why would you cut off all your options if the other person's not closing off their options?
you be the bigger person, Miley.
Okay.
Can you do that? I can do that. I can be the bigger person, right? Like, I could be talking to 3 different girls with average chemistry, right? And then have one with great chemistry come along and have that fear that if I invest all my energy and time into this new one, she could cut me off and then I would fuck up whatever else I had, But like, so what? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
play. It's like being more risk tolerant,
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather, but like, yeah, that's the backlash of that like, you don't know if that person would reciprocate. So
But don't you think that dating multiple people gives you perspective on the person
I think it
that you're
depends
with?
on what stage you are in. You're in the marketplace. If you just came off a relationship and you've been with that person for whatever length of time, and now you're dating 3-4 people, for like maybe a time span of like 3 weeks, you just got into the dating market. You're only 3 weeks of dating. It's actually better for you to keep your options open. But anything longer than that, it's like, yo, you've had, a chance and you've kept your options open to the point where you've had analysis by paralysis. Like, you probably had other options of guys that would have treated you so good, and it would have been a good, you guys could have had a future together, but you had too many options to pick from.
But haven't you been in the situation where you've been in a relationship with one person and you kind of feel like, I've invested so much into this, I'm just going to stick with this person, even though they were not the right person for you?
I don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I don't. How about you? Would you stick it out with somebody that you Ask your question again.
Yeah, run it by me one more time.
Someone who you've invested a bunch of time into, but you know that they're not the right person, but you don't really have any other options, so you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna stick with this.
No way. Yeah, no, hell no. It's self-respect. I'm out.
You know why?
I'll find someone else.
Because guys could just pay for sex, and the emotional part's not there, right? So it's like,
No, the emotional part's there. It's just not great anymore.
I know people like that.
only for kids I would stick around. That's it.
They've been, together for a long time, and they just settle because, like, well, I've been, with this person for 10 years or 20 years. It's like, might as well stick it out. But it's just like, in my opinion, personally, it's like, just have that self-respect that it's going to be okay. Like, why would you make that person's life miserable and your life miserable? Just move on.
Well, it also depends on my options. If I couldn't do any better, this is the best I can fucking get, it's gonna take me a long time to find someone else, then I would probably stick it out.
I'd rather just die alone.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I would stick it out because it's my best option, and I don't think I have in the past. I think I've cut it off and said, fuck you, I'll find someone else.
Or if not, I'm cool by myself.
Okay, let's just say you found someone that you thought was really amazing, and then they turned out not to be that amazing after like.
Which
2
has
weeks.
happened, and it takes about that much time, maybe like a month. It takes about a month to know.
But you cut off all the other girls that you had been talking to. Are you gonna just go, hey, after 2 weeks of being MIA, just be like, hey, what have you been up to? And then just like reappear?
Sure.
I hate it when guys do that.
Well, just know that when guys do that, that wasn't their first option. Right?
Yeah, I know. And then I don't entertain them because I
And-
know I'm not their first option.
And yeah, you don't have to, which is cool. And then I'm sure it'll work itself out eventually some way or another.
We kind of got distracted with this thread, but let's ask another question. Are women more drawn to a man's potential or his current status?
If you're younger, I think potential. If you're older, I think current status.
Yeah, I probably think current status is the easier route than someone who's going to thug it out with you for a long time because they see that potential in you. It just depends on someone's background. Do they want the instant gratification of I can have all this now, or do I want to build that with someone and they may or may not leave me when they get there? So it's kind of a gamble.
So you guys are with current potential?
I would rather the opposite, but I think as far as
current status, I mean, I said the fucking wrong word. Current
Yeah.
status.
I'd rather build it into something.
You said potential then.
Yeah.
And you said
Depends on your age. So for me now, current status.
potential for you.
Yeah, but as far as like the question with women specifically, that's where I kind of defer to. You have experience that I don't have, obviously. So, if I think I understand what you're saying though, as far as age goes, or just what do they have now? Can we make this work out with what's going on now, or should kind of wait? But it is a waiting game, and you are sacrificing time.
Like, I'm going to answer that question and I'm going to do it from my perspective. Okay, so I meet somebody and she's got high status and she's just a well-rounded individual versus a girl who's a little rough around the edges, probably younger. Yeah, it does depend on age, right? So, like, if you're younger, that you get a pass, right? There's no excuse if you're older, Like, you're just like, yo, bro, you're not a spring chicken. I have to mold and teach and kind of be like an influence to the one that has potential. The other one that is already well-rounded and everything, I don't know, that's a tough one. I feel like I'd go with the one with the current status. I think that's what I would go with.
But people who have their current status, they're also going to have their own way that they do things. You can't mold them to what you want either.
Which is tough.
Because the one that you're getting the current status, like, you can't really grow your IQ. You can't really, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you can or can't. I just know that like when you come across somebody, like they're not really gonna change that much.
Right. They're established.
You could give them years. You can give an 18-year-old 5 years, and she at 24 would probably think pretty similar to how she's thinking at 18. I don't know. Maybe that's not 100% accurate, but like, you know, when you're young, you're impressionable and you do change or whatever. But like, I don't think people change all that much. Like as far as your IQ and your like your mannerisms and whatever, I think you're gonna be the same in 10 years from now. So that's probably why I would go with the current status. Like I'm not gonna bank on you becoming more wifey material. I guess. Who is more transactional in dating, men or women?
I think men.
And we have to give this caveat. Men wanting sex equal to women wanting material things. So who's more transactional?
I think men.
Probably. Yeah. I think men would be, we're just like, hey, this is what I have to offer. This is XYZ in exchange for that. I think it could be very explicit, but
versus women going out with a man because of what he could provide. Women are going out with men more for love than men are going out with women for love.
I think if it's transactional, a man might be more, here's what's on the table, here's what I want. This is what the transaction is. You know, like you were saying, like a guy could pay for sex. Like that's the transaction. So, but I don't know on the other side how that would be reciprocated, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, okay, women do like material things, but if they like a guy enough, they'll be with him even if he's doesn't have anything.
But like what I'm saying is, are more women like that or are more men transactional about sex?
Yeah, I think men are more transactional.
What do you think?
I'm team man. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Guys have this innate desire for sex without commitment. Like every young man is thinking, there's probably only like a smaller percentage, like the minority, like maybe 10% of guys who are like, no, I'm waiting for marriage before I have sex. You know,
right.
But most guys are like, yo, man, I want to know what that's like, you know? I want to get that. And it doesn't matter who the girl really is. I don't want to fuck a cow, but at the same time, like, I just want to have that. I want to get that I want to get that notch on my belt. So I think guys are more innately wired that way than girls are at, 15, 16, 17 to say like, yo, I want to date a guy who's a little bit older and that he could buy me things and he could treat me nice. I don't know. That's tough because girls probably think like that too.
I don't think girls really think about that till they're a little bit older. I think when you're younger, girls just want to find someone to fall in love with and have a family with. And yeah, I think the materialistic part comes in a little bit later when they're more worried about their financial security.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's a tough question though, because I guess the question kind of like boils down to like, when you meet somebody, how do you know what the deal that is being offered is? Because it's not explicit. It's not like we have these price, we have these terms, let's write a contract, you know? It's more of like, okay, this is what age you are. This is what age I am. This is what relative age we are to each other.
Yeah.
This is how much money I have. This is how much money you have. And this is how much the relative is to each other. And then there's the, it's like an instant transaction going through your brain of like, what do they have to offer versus what do I have to offer? And like, you kind of want to know is this person attracted to what I have to offer, or are they attracted to my boyish charm?
That, or just like I'm sure it happens, but let's say you have an older male at the pendry, right? And he meets a younger female who's attractive. He thinks, let's say he's naive, and he thinks that she likes him for what he has to offer XYZ. They get a hotel room at the Pendry, they get intimate, and at the end she's like, it's going to be X amount of money. Like, where does that transaction, that conversation come into play? So it's a sticky situation out there.
But this is what I'm trying to get to. Okay, let's say there's a 55-year-old man, right? He's obviously he's got bread, right? And he's kind of good looking too, right? And he meets a younger woman that's like 30 years old, right? We can't discount the fact that the guy looks fucking amazing. He's got the image. He looks like he's just that dude, right? So he's not totally ugly. He's, you know, the value for the girl, his value for the girl is apparent because he's got money and he's not some fat fucking turd. But he's not like some, you know, 30 fucking 5-year-old stud that's fucking young and rich either. Like, that would probably be the girl would fall in love more with the guy closer to her age. But I'm not going to discount the older guy too. The older guy has a certain appeal and an attraction.
For sure.
But like, when you meet somebody, how do you know how attracted they are to your appeal and like what the sliding scale is of your appeal? Because that's like, when I think about puppy love, I think about like true appeal, like true attraction, like how much allure you have, right? So there's that aspect, which is like the puppy love, true love. And then there's the transactional side of like, yo, long term on paper, we got to get, you know, families involved. And that's like all the transactional stuff. And you started taking that into account. So like, when you first meet somebody, there's that instant analysis, right? Like, do you just go into it with the facts thinking like, yo, I'm 55, she's probably not going to be as attracted to me the higher the age? Like, how do you, I don't know, like, I know it's kind of a jumbled up question, but how do you judge how into you somebody is versus what you have to offer that is what they're, you know, more inclined to stick around for?
I think hide what you have. I had a buddy who was like that. I think he was 20 and he made already like several $1 million and everything. And he would drive, his whole thing was he's going to drive around in his mom's car that he got. It was like a 19 something like Acura or something. And he's like, I'm going to meet people like this before I even show them anything that I have to see if they like me for who I am. And if they do, then I'll show them the world that I live in. But I'm not just going to start off with that because you're going to attract a lot of fake things. So he was more of like this.
I've heard a lot of guys say that it's like how you lead, right?
Yeah.
So you lead in with just being cool, right? But then you could hold back some of the material information that would obviously you would fucking like this, you know? Oh, you found out I got $100 million? Okay, fucking obviously you would like that. You found out I got 1 million followers on whatever, obviously you'd like that, right? So like to hold back some of that to gauge how much appeal there is without that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't want to be judged by that, then yeah, you don't have to disclose it right away.
It's not that I don't want to be judged by that. I just want to sense how much of a like true puppy love there is in this, how much true appeal there is, how attracted are you to me, you know, in a general sense, like versus other guys in the marketplace.
Yeah, like me for me, not for what I have.
For what I look like, one, and for what my mind is like, two. Like how I speak and my thought process.
But don't you think you could figure that out just over time? Like if the girl's constantly asking you to give her stuff, I mean...
I think I could figure that in the first 5 minutes. Like if a girl's got instant chemistry with me and she's looking at me up and down and then she goes and grabs my dick. No, I'm just kidding. But I just know that like certain times somebody's like really attracted to your appeal, right? And then they find out like who you are, and then that makes them even more attracted to you. But like, how do you hold, you know, like what we just said, like just hold back on some of the transactional stuff that you got them in your back pocket. You know what I mean? Like you could throw them on the table and be like, boom, 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 boom. But then, you know, so it's kind of like, you know, not showing your cards.
Right, exactly. Because if you do, then they already know what they're getting into, and you might attract the wrong person for the wrong reasons rather than someone who likes you for who you really are.
Does that go the same way for girls?
Well, I feel like a lot of older men who have money specifically show that they have money so they can attract these girls.
Because they're older.
And they know they probably do just want to get with me for my money, and I'm okay with that, you know?
And that's the transactional side is they don't, no
It's
matter how much
leaning
money,
more toward the transactional side.
100%.
There's a balance, right? Like you like it'd be okay to be transactional, but I don't want it to be like this.
because you can't buy youth. You're going to be your age. You can try to do cosmetic things to be younger. But like you're saying, you know, spring chicken at the end anymore. So it's just, this is my best foot forward. It's what my financial status is rather than this is who I am. So it's a luxury that younger people have to put that foot forward of this is me without. But same thing, someone older can do that too. Like if there's a
But here's
billionaire
the thing though. There's an older guy, right? He
Yeah.
knows to be equally as competitive in the marketplace. He has to lead with a little bit more, you know, wealth and certain like status symbols, right?
yeah,
He has to, but it would probably behoove him to refrain from leading with that and then just go for older chicks so that he equals out the playing field that way versus leading with and then tipping the scale to be way more transactional.
yeah. If he's confident in what he has, he doesn't need to put that financial step forward. Just be like, just go out there and be you. And if people like you and they mess with you, that's cool. Instead of being like putting your key on the table or something ridiculous.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Let's say you're a bit older. Would you rather be going out with a girl that's like much prettier and younger? Or would you rather go with the girl who's closer to age in you, but is a lot more into you?
The one who's more into me, for sure. Because I know that first person is gonna easy come, easy go. Versus someone who's really invested into me and I am with them, there's more possibility of that evolving into something rather than someone who's just here for the short time.
And Miley, you too. Let's say two scenarios. The one that's way more into you, not as attractive, and the age thing is a little bit different for the girls, but just disregarding age, or the guy who's the other. So the guy
one who
who
treats me better.
treats you better, is that the same thing as being more into you?
I think
Because
so.
the guy could treat you super well. He just knows how to treat women right, though. He treats women really well, but he's not as into you.
But he's only into me. Or is he also into other girls?
I guess what I'm asking is, would you take the guy who you're more physically attracted to and into in general, or would you take the guy who's more into you? Yeah, that's the question.
Like really cares and wants to get to know you versus wants to be physical with you.
Oh, the one that cares about me. Yeah. Physical's easy for women.
Even if he's not the most attractive person.
Yeah. That's fine.
Okay, let's move on to another question. What do modern women and modern men expect from marriage? Like, what do you think they would expect?
If you want to go first, go for it.
I mean, I think everyone wants the same thing from marriage. They want to find a partner that they can rely on, that has their back, that they can plan a future with. I don't think that's changed. I just think that the way people treat it has changed.
Yeah, I would say commitment and loyalty. Loyalty is going to be, you don't marry someone without the hope of them being loyal to you. And I think in both physical aspects, financial aspects, and just everything like this, in a marriage, it's going to be your ride or die through thick and through thin. Is that the person? I think that's what someone would expect in a marriage. Through tough times, through hard times, through great times, is this person going to be with me and I'm going to be with them till the very end? Are they going to take care of me when I'm 80 and I can't even get up? Am I going to do the same thing for them? So I think that's just about a ride or die person from this point forward to the very end. This is it. That's what I think I would want in a marriage versus someone who's like, well, if it gets too tough, I might just get out. It's just, then why do all that?
Okay, well, I think it's obvious that what you would expect from marriage is like that person values you, right? They're not just gonna be like, take it or leave it. Like, no, like I value you. Like I'm saying I want to marry you because this is a commitment to like bond us for life or whatever, right? So I value the relationship that we have, and I don't want to lose this where like we never talk again. So like I value this relationship enough to call it something, binding. And then all the things that you guys said is true, like, long term, whatever, commitment, loyalty, all that stuff. But like there's certain nuances between men and women is what I'm trying to get to. So like, do men expect, and it's modern, keep in mind, modern men and women. Do men still expect women to cook, clean, keep the house, and bear children? Do women still expect men to 100% be the breadwinners and be tough and protect the family? Like, do men and women still expect the same things from marriage?
Modern,
yeah,
the people
modern
I
men and
know
women.
of, probably not.
So what would modern men expect? Let's start with guys first.
No idea. Cause I'm,
Fucking look good, go to the gym, keep that ass looking right.
But they're gonna. I don't think that household, like you were talking about earlier, where it's like, are they gonna essentially be the mother and do X, Y,
Let's
Z?
just talk about what modern men want. Modern men. We're modern men, right? What do we want when we're thinking, I'm gonna put a ring on that bitch's finger? Like, what do I want back from her?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm one of the modern like men. I'm more of like a traditional. We're just like,
You can't help being modern, bro. You're being raised in 2025. As
No.
much as traditional you want to be, like there's
Okay,
parts
but
of you that are
He
modern.
doesn't want to talk for modern men, but he can talk for himself.
yeah, and I could talk about what I was raised in, the values that I was raised in since I was a kid, and that's not going to change because now it's 2025.
Okay, let's say you had one thing that you would expect your wife to do for you.
Loyalty. I don't
You'd
care.
expect her not to be touched by anyone else. That's the highest priority for you.
Yeah, I don't care if she becomes 1,000 pounds or anything. It doesn't matter. If that's the person who I made that commitment with, I know those things will fade. But I just care about what's on the inside, about loyalty. That is the most important thing in a marriage for me is, are you going to stab me in the back, or can I believe that you're not going to do that? Looks aside, all the other BS is going to fade away. That is what I would value the most. Other people modernly might want
but
looks.
like loyalty is kind of ambiguous. That doesn't mean fidelity.
I think so. I think loyal, if we're going to put it in an umbrella term, it's going to mean not messing around, having your significant other's back, and doing everything you can to protect that person's interest. Financially, economically, physically, whatever the issue may be. They are 100% committed to you. They are loyal. Versus that person looks good, I'm going to go mess around. Or like other guys modernly might want looks. They want them to be fit. They want this and they want that. That's not what I want. I just want someone who, when we have that bond, it is through death do us part kind of thing.
I want to get back to and comment on yours because the loyalty thing is kind of ambiguous. Go ahead, Miley. What's the most important thing that you'd expect from a husband? If I'm gonna if you're gonna be my husband, you have to do this one thing at the very least.
Security.
Is that financial? Is that emotional? And you only can pick one.
What? He did loyalty.
So you only get to pick
he's
one.
supposed to be the provider, so he's going to provide the foundation for the household.
So he's gonna make sure that there's a house, all the bills are paid. There's extra money to do travel and hobbies, or whatever. But like pretty much that portion of life is just handled, and that's the very least that he can do.
He just needs to be able to provide stability, the groundwork for
That's
household.
stability, right? Like
And
you have the
then-
house paid for and like all the bills.
But he steps out. Is that okay?
No. Let's just hold on one at a time. So that's the very least that he should do.
That's the most important thing for me.
Okay, and the very least that she should do is
Money will come and go. We can make money.
Okay, you have two requirements: is don't have sex or emotional ties with anyone else.
Don't cheat. Yeah.
So that's called fidelity, right?
Sure, I can
and
call
then
it
loyalty. You're talking about in terms of like have my best interest over everything.
Yeah. So if I had to pick one, it would be committed to me in this relationship. Don't step out, and everything will be fine. But in my mind, I call it loyalty. But if that's ambiguous, then I'd say fidelity.
Sounds like the devil almost. Like you're doing a deal. You're signing your soul over.
Is
like
that a contract though? You're literally
signing.
signing everything away. To death do us part. You take an oath, and that's what it is.
Okay, Lucifer. I'm just
It's,
kidding.
it's legit a promise.
Okay, so but you had two things, which is fair. Okay, you're umbrelling under loyalty. You're saying, okay, one is don't give your body or feelings to anyone, and the second is in all endeavors for the rest of our life, make sure you're keeping my best interest at heart.
Just like I would do the same for her. Yeah.
Okay, and then yours is just make sure that me and my children and like this unit that we have here is stable because like we don't ever have to worry about finances. Okay, so I think that's fair to say that that's what modern men and women would expect, you know?
Yeah.
Like girls are like, that's pretty traditional, but at the same time that translates to modern men and women too. Like the girl's like, yo, if you can't take care of us, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of rule number one. You're breaking rule number one. And then the guy is like, yo, if you can't just be my bitch and my bitch alone and be the ride or die, then... But is that really what modern men and women are like? I think modern men, if I was just to like blurt it out, guys want their girls to look good. Don't fucking fuck other guys. So just be mine and look good. I think a lot of men can pass on this cooking, cleaning, because there's like services for that stuff nowadays.
Yeah. You can hire, a chef. You can do all these other things.
And then like modern women want abundance from a guy. It's not enough to just be a hardworking guy anymore. They want what her best friend has. They want what the Joneses have. They want the vacations. So modern women, they still want financial security, but it's like a step up now because of social media showing them what's possible. Like they want that too.
And I think modern men know that, and they put off that front to try to get it. The problem is not real. Like you have 1 million people renting or leasing cars for the weekend because they want to put off of, oh, this is what I have to attract more women, but it's all a facade. So
and women are doing the same on the other token. Like they're making sure they're in the gym, they're looking good, right? And they don't, Okay, next question.
Wait,
go ahead.
That's not the same. Renting an exotic car for the weekend to show that you have money is different from a girl going to the gym every day and having a nice body. How is that the same?
Because look, this is okay. What modern men value is sex appeal and exclusivity, right? What modern and if they show that they have a Ferrari, right, then they show that they have they show that they have the abundance, right?
Right, but they don't really have it. But if you're dating a girl who goes to the gym every day, you're getting a girl that still has a nice body.
Well, I mean, it goes deeper than the gym, look good in general, right? There's a lot of cosmetic things that they cover up. They just do whatever they can to make sure that they look as good as possible, right? So,
okay,
anyways,
but the girl who dates the guy with the rental car is not getting the guy with the rental car. That's the difference. The guy who's dating the girl that's working hard to look beautiful is getting the beautiful girl.
Okay, I'll agree with that, but that still doesn't change the fact that, like,
but it is true that modern men do try to show off more than they really have, and that's really disappointing.
And modern women are exercising more than ever and trying to showcase their beauty,
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
There's that G-Eazy lyric, something about a purse, but she drives a Durango. You know what I'm talking about? Where a chick will come in with a $10,000 bag, this, but then she's driving like a 1980 like Honda Civic. Yeah. So if that's kind of what you're hinting at as far as what they're putting off aesthetically, doesn't necessarily mean that's what they have. But then on the same token, the same thing for the guys. They'll show up in a $500,000 car they rented for $1,000 a day. That doesn't mean what they have either. And that is where the dating pool becomes a giant mess because no one is authentic or trying to show who they really are. It's just crazy. Everything's fake.
People have different values than they had, and so because of that, people are portraying different values of their own so that they can be like, yo, these are the values, right?
But do you think that's really how society is, or is that just what we're seeing in social media?
The girls that I'm coming across, like, it's not enough to make 100K a year. They're seeing the guys who are doing much better than that and being able to afford better lifestyles. So like that's what I'm experiencing in real time with the girls that I'm coming across. Like, it seems like I'm never enough, you know? It seems like there's always another guy with a greater body and a greater financial situation and a greater status too, you know? And like a lifestyle, right? So it's like hyper competitive.
Same thing on the other side though. Like you can always find, let's say you're dating a 30-year-old, she's going to compete with someone who's 25 or vice versa. Like the looks will fade and that's what you can't get is that youth. So I think it goes both ways where a guy will be on his toes because there's always be someone better. But I think a woman would also be on her toes that there's always someone younger or someone who else has more drive and ambition than someone who's older. It's competitive, very competitive, like you're saying.
Okay, another question. Would you rather be friends with someone first or started off romantic from the very beginning?
Romantic from the beginning. Just let them know what's up from the jump instead of, oh, now I actually like you for something. You know what I mean? It's just going to get weird.
Yeah, romantic from the beginning. Once I become a friend with someone, I value that friendship too much to try to get into a relationship and then risk losing that.
So romantic for the beginning.
What about you?
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. But I mean, you can't discount the fact that like some people could be friends for a long time and they, you know, they have that great chemistry and they never, it's not like they didn't consider the romantic aspect. It's just like nobody pursued that, but you guys were friends for a while and then I don't know. I think romantic from the beginning though, yeah.
It's cleaner that way.
Yeah. How do you show your appreciation when you love somebody?
Time. Because that's one thing you can never buy or get back. So spending time with someone instead of buying gifts and never there. I think then I want that same thing on the other end, both sides, putting in time and effort rather than physical things like that. I think go a long way because no matter what you have, you can never get that time back. So who you spend it with and how you spend it.
What would you say?
Quality time. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's how you guys show your appreciation? Time?
I think so because then it'd be like, here's a diamond set of earrings.
I mean,
And then I'll see you next week. You know, I'll see you in 2 weeks from now. But it's like, okay, cool. I would rather not have anything, but have, because you're building memories. You're building, that relationship is built. It's like a fire. If I just, I throw a log in there and I don't put anything to help it burn, it's never going to go anywhere versus me always tending to it and spending time. And now we have an abundance of it. I think that's what I would want in a relationship. And that's, in my opinion, is time instead of just money or whatever else. This is all we have in this life. Every day we live, we get closer to the day we die. So it's all about how we spend that time.
So would you say people that love each other, a good indicator is like how often this person's come in to check up?
100%. Yeah, it's like, oh, I haven't seen your fiance in 6 months. It's like, oh yeah, well, like why are they not spending time together? And a lot of people, like we talked about last time, the guys when they're not in it anymore will start to die off and let that fire die. So it just depends on, yeah, to answer your question, the more time you spend, the healthier that relationship will be or appears to be.
Okay, so does time mean in person or does that mean also like texting, calling, things like that?
In person. Yeah, because I can send a text on the beach in Hawaii with like 5 other people and be like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about you. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean anything, but it's all about the time that's spent together, whatever it is you're doing. What about you?
I like talking on the phone with certain people, and I'd rather not see them in person too often. And then there's people that I don't want to talk to at all on the phone. It's just like, hi, busy, see you later. But I love spending time with them, you know? Like, yeah, I think the phone is a useful tool. I think Instagram, sending memes is a really useful tool. I've been sending memes to you guys a lot lately, you know? So I think I show my appreciation by sending memes. That's what I'm trying to say. No, and the time thing too, whether it be on the phone or in person. How else do you think you would show your appreciation? I think the time one, like the people who you reach out to intentionally and go out of your way to like hit up, like shows that, because you're not going to do that with people that you won't fuck with or don't care or, you know, whatever. Like you're not going to go out of your way to be like, yo, let me see what this person's doing.
Right.
So, but like other ways to show love and appreciation.
I think it's how you treat their family. I think that's a big one, where because out of respect for my whoever it is, girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever, I'm going to show that same respect or as much as I can to their parents, to their brother, I'm not going to disvalue them and discredit them out of respect for that person I'm with. If that makes any sense. It's more of like, because of whoever this person is, let's say their daughter, I'm going to try to be as genuine, as nice as I possibly can out of respect for her.
Okay, I wanna comment too. Another way that I think I show my appreciation for somebody I love is I'm not too harsh with them.
Okay.
You know, like I'm more cognizant of hurting their feelings. You know, like I don't want to intentionally hurt your feelings. Whereas like a stranger, I could fucking care less. You could fucking go fucking crash and burn right now, you know? But like, and I don't care about your feelings at all. But like with somebody that I'm friends with or I care, I'm more cordial, you know? I'm investing, you know, into this person so that we have a relationship for years down the line. So like I don't want to, like I would never do something to like jeopardize like lashing out because of a certain way I was feeling or whatever, and then like hurting their feelings, you know? Like, so I think I'm more cognizant, and if I do hurt their feelings, I'm always quick to retract it and apologize, like, yo, I didn't mean to, you know, like this and that. So like I'm more cognizant of like hurting feelings.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because you value them and you value how they feel.
Yeah.
Instead of just being some random stranger off the street.
Even if they're totally wrong, you know? Like it's just like, okay, I don't know why you feel this way, but I know it hurts you, and I'm very cognizant that you are like hurt right now. So like I'm more attentive to, you know, hurting them too. Anybody else have any other ways? Okay, would you rather be oh no, I've said that one already. When do you know that you're truly in love with somebody? You go first, Miley. We're putting you on the spot.
I don't know. I guess when I want to spend time with them all the time. So if I'm always like, if they're always on my mind and I want to message them, or if I am out and I see something and it reminds me of them, or I, you know, think to buy something for them because.
So the frequency of your thoughts about them.
Yeah, that's what I know.
That makes sense. Yeah, when they're always on your mind, that's the only person you're thinking about, and all you want to do is spend time with them or see what they're doing and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think that's a good telltale sign of you're falling or you're already in that phase with this person. Hopefully they feel the same way, though.
Yeah.
Damn, then I'd be falling in love after day one, then I guess.
It happens.
Okay, so like, you know you're in love when you're thinking about that person way too frequently. But that's not true, because I'm not in love with these girls that I be thinking about frequently. Like, I'll meet somebody, have a great, like, you know, interaction, really want to, like, ask this person out, looking forward to it, thinking about them all the time. You know, it could be 2-3 weeks in, and I'm still thinking about them, like, every day pretty much. And then that doesn't mean I love them, though.
What do you think that is, then?
Interest? If you're thinking about someone off all the time, you don't necessarily love them. You just, I don't know.
I think another more extreme example, in my opinion, would be, so the thinking about them is cool, but the fact that when you're with them, like the world stops, and you don't care if like a meteor comes out and just kills you, like you'll die happy,
So sweet.
right? I think that's when you're like in love, which is a hard place to get.
So like when time stops and that person and you and the interaction that you guys are having is like the being in the moment, you just want to be in the moment.
I think so. I think that's fair. I think you're in the moment and you're happy in that moment, and nothing in that moment will make you happier than being with that person.
And that moment just feels like, yo, everything's all right in the world.
Right. And if the world were to die, if we were just to die right now, that'd be fine.
This is how I'd choose to spend it. Out of every other moments that I could choose from, this is like the ideal situation here.
Right.
You guys are getting so excited thinking about the situation.
Love is an exciting topic. Okay, I agree. That's a good one. It's like you literally just want to be in the moment with that person. So, okay, got you.
But it's not an easy feeling to come by. Like you were saying about the other people you think about a lot, that doesn't mean you're in love with them. That makes sense. But it's worth just like, if we were to get hit by a truck right now, that's fine.
Yeah. So you know you're in love. You know you're in love. Let's try to refute this. Let's say that when you're in the moment with that person, that hypothetical person that we're thinking about, just time fucking stops. You forget about all the worries. You forget about all the anxieties. You forget about all the future things that you, whatever. And you just like, yo, like I could live in this moment. We could keep this on replay, you know? Mm-hmm. Does that mean you necessarily love that person? Like, have you ever been in a situation where like, yo, like I'm living in the moment. This is great. I wouldn't want to do anything else, but I don't necessarily love this person.
I don't know. I don't think you can both. I think you're in that moment, and that's the love for that person. Instead of, because I don't think you would have that feeling if you didn't love that person.
Yeah, because if there was someone else on your mind,
yeah, then you'd be thinking about them,
right? But you're not thinking about anything. Literally, I'm thinking about what's right in front of me. Like there's nothing that could be better than this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess that would constitute love, right? What else, Miley? How else would you know?
I don't know.
Besides wanting to think about that person all the time and spend time with that person, and when you actually are with that person, time freezes and you just like feel like everything's right. Like what else would be like a top indicator of like, yo, I'm in love?
I think besides those ones are pretty strong. Let's see.
This is a good thread, by the way.
Maybe things about other people that annoy you, when they do it, it doesn't annoy you.
Oh, you find their flaws cute, almost.
When it's not with other, like say for example, someone is singing in the car and you can't stand that, but when she sings in the car, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I think that's one. The other thing I can think of is just sacrificing yourself, I'd say. So let's say, for example, you're on the beach and let's just go with some crazy scenario. Let's say that you are...
No. I'll give you one. You ever seen the Coke commercial where the kid goes to grab a Coke and it's the last one and the dad is like, hey, son, grab me a Coke. But the kid was like looking forward to that Coke. He was like fucking thirsty as shit. Hot summer day. He was about to down that shit. And then his dad was like, yo. And then so he looked at the Coke and he looked at his dad. And he just took the Coke to his dad, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so sacrifice, right? He wanted that motherfucking, that soda. And
he gave it for
he sacrificed. It's like a small, like, no pressure kind of situation. But there's a lot more sacrifice than people can potentially, put out.
I think when you're sacrificing things like that, it shows it's more of an indicator that you're in love with that person, because you're putting that person in front of you or ahead of you before you do yourself.
Okay, so selflessness.
Yeah.
That's another indicator that when you start noticing that you're doing things that are selfless for the benefit of that person. But you know what though? Where's the line? Where does that line cross where a lot of guys will seemingly be selfless and try to do things right for that person? but it's only because they're trying to impress them to make them like them back. Like in the scenario where the kid gave the Coke or whatever, like that was non-existent, you know?
Yeah.
But like I could see myself trying to, you know what I mean?
Throw in
Be
physical.
selfless, but because I want you to like me back.
Then we can go the extreme and go physical instead of emotional. I wanted this, so I gave it up, rather than taking a bullet for somebody. Like, would you give your life for that person, knowing that you're not going to be there anymore?
Okay, that's a tough one. That's a big one. If you're in love with somebody, would you die for them?
Right.
Would you?
Yeah.
Would you? Oh, your camera went out. Would I?
If you're a man, you should.
But would a modern man do that?
I would go to war for my bitch, bro.
Yeah, and that's the mentality that I think you should have. It's just this is it. Like, who cares if I die? We're all gonna get there at some point.
Let's see if we got one more question. What are the basic requirements? No, that's kind of a repeat. I don't think it's going to get any better than that. That was a good question right there. How do you know when you're truly in love? A, when time stops when you're with them. B, when you probably give your life for them. C, you start being extremely selfless without wanting anything in return. That kind of falls into the same line of like sacrifice. What else? While we're still on this line of thought, like what else would show that you really love somebody?
I don't know. Besides those are all pretty good. Yeah. I mean, when you're at the point of giving your life for somebody, I don't think it's more than that.
I got one. Everything they say is just funny and cute. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In the beginning.
Like just I don't know what it is about you, but just the way you say shit and the way like you make me fucking laugh. You're not necessarily funny.
Yeah.
But when I'm around you, for some reason, it's just laughing vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do you make me laugh so much?
But I think you can be in love with someone and that not be the case, though.
Yeah, but I don't really feel that way around too many people. But I notice that when I really like a girl, it's like she could just do fucking regular shit and I find it cute. You know,
Yeah,
or I laugh, you know? I find myself laughing at her a lot more, at her cuteness. Right? All right, you guys, we had a good episode. We're going to just call it quits now. An hour and 37 in, and we had some cancellations. Motherfuckers. But it's all good because we're going to keep this going every week and just get as much good topics to talk about out there.